Welcome everybody to another segment of Let's Connect Now. Today is a super exciting. I'm super excited about my guest because she brings so much hope to this show today. I'm happy to introduce Krystal Murphy. Her name is Krystal Murphy. Welcome
Thank you.
to Let's
Thank you
Connect
for
Now.
having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. I was very compelled by everything I've learned about you, and also, my guest, as most of you guys know, she's missed a few shows. Sam is here today. She'll bring a different perspective to the show today. So thank you again to everybody who tunes in every Tuesday at 9 a.m. So with that said, like I introduced Krystal Murphy. She is one of the founders of the Potter's Recovery Center in Rancho Cucamonga, correct?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
a nonprofit. So tell us a little bit, before we get into, talking about you, I want to know a little bit about your center.
Okay. It's the Potter's Recovery Center, and it is a nonprofit. And God gave me a vision several years ago, and it is a drug and alcohol sober living. Mm-hmm. And the vision that I was given is a farm with farm animals, a pond to fish in, job training, counseling, just everything that will help a recovering addict be successful in their recovery.
Well, after learning a lot about you, and reading a lot about about your story and about what you're trying to do, we're very proud of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It takes someone with a huge heart to do what you're doing. So I'm very honored to meet you, and
Thank you.
And I think you are doing, you're following God's plan for your life, which is wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. So Krystal has been sober now for about 5 years. So on 9/11, it will be your fifth year anniversary being sober.
Exactly. 9/11. Crazy. I don't know why God chose that date for me.
Right?
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
Thank
That's
you very much.
Very
I
huge, and I
appreciate
know
it.
it's not easy.
It is not, but it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how many years did you suffer with this addiction of alcohol?
I was an alcoholic for 20 years. The first 10 years, I was a binge drinker. And then the last 10 years, I was an everyday drinker. 18 to 30 beers a day. I'm a beer drinker. So, yeah, it got worse towards the end.
And when you say worse, like, can you describe what worse was for you?
For me, just being not present for my kids. I was the alcoholic. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So 11 o'clock came around and I'd start drinking. And
11 in the morning?
yeah, that's towards the end. My marriage was falling apart. My eldest son was addicted to Xanax and cocaine towards the end and almost lost his life. And my husband got sober first. He was sober for a year and a half before I got sober. And the last year of my addiction, it got worse because my husband was sober and he was enabling me, and I was able to have a driver and someone to go get beer when I run out at night. And so that's it. It got worse. And when I went to rehab, I wasn't there to get sober for the rest of my life. I was there to get sober, to quit drinking during the week, and I just wanted to be a weekend drinker.
Well, so you were kind of designing your own plan
Exactly.
as to how you wanted to do it.
Exactly, but God had bigger plans for me, so.
Yeah. I know Sam has worked with, like I shared with you earlier, she's worked with different groups, different couples. So tell us about that, and what's your experience with dealing with something like this?
So I deal a lot with our homeless population in Orange County, and I see a lot of addiction. It goes hand in hand, right? Like homelessness and addiction both go hand in hand. And I talk to some very young girls who are like my age, or even younger, and they're telling me like, if you had to be in the streets, would you want to be sober? Yeah. And I look at them and I'm like, no, I wouldn't. Yeah. And they're like, I'm a woman. I have to protect myself at night, so that if that means that I have to take meth or, speed or cocaine to stay awake so that I'm not assaulted, then I'm going to do that. And, I can't help but to say, like, you're right. Because
Yeah.
if I was in their position, I'd be doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And, they come to me and they're like, okay, I'm ready to get help. I'm ready to leave this life. They have kids that, have been taken away, or, whatever their story looks like. Everybody's different. And they come and they're like, I'm ready to accept help. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, let's see what we can do. Oh, I could put you on a wait list.
Yeah.
2 months from now, you'll get some help. Just,
Yep.
Hang in there.
Yep.
And that has to be like the worst feeling for me, for them,
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
So the fact that, you're putting together an organization and you have this vision and, you're following through with it, that's huge, because
Thank
it's
you.
so needed.
Yeah, yeah.
And people who actually care. I see a lot of sober livings, and I don't know who runs the house. I don't know who's living there. It's chaotic, and people
Yeah.
leave and come, and
Yeah.
there's no support.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no support.
Yeah, that's what my heart, I want it to be Christ-centered, and when they walk in, I want it to feel like grandma's home, and they're home at grandma's to get better. And I grew up with my two grandmas that are strong believers in the Lord, and when I walked into their house, it's like you felt the love of the Lord, and that's the vision for what I have for the sober living. I am not the homeless one. I was the stay-at-home mom and raised my babies, but alcoholism still affected me and affected my life. So I'm fortunate in that aspect. I've had a husband that's worked hard our whole marriage. I've been married for 28 years, so I didn't have to go to those lengths. So, and that's the story that I want to tell, that it's not only the people on the streets, but it's the suburban moms with the minivans who are suffering as well.
In silence, right? Because
Exactly.
it's not as out there, or for people to know, or for them to
Exactly.
reach out for help. It's
Yeah.
in silence.
Exactly. And it's hard to leave your family to go to rehab, but the way God saved me, it's undescribable. So.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So my question is now, what finally motivated you to ask for help or to make that change? Can you describe that moment of clarity in your life?
Yes, like I said, my husband got sober before me because my marriage was falling apart. And when I saw him get sober, I saw something in him that I wanted. He had something that I wanted. So we got back together, and like I said, I was still drinking for a year, but I'm very close to my brother, and he's a Christian and he's a police officer, and he would call me twice a week. When are you going to stop drinking? When are you going to stop drinking? And I finally told him, you know what, I accept that I'm an alcoholic and everybody dies, and I'm going to die an alcoholic. And I was ready to accept it because I couldn't imagine my life without the love of my life, and that's alcohol. And so one day I told him, you know what, I will get help. You find me a place, because I knew I could. I tried to get sober on my own and I couldn't do it. So I told him, you get me the help and I'll go. And he came back and he said, okay, I got you a place. And I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's a Dream Center in LA.
Yeah.
And when I got the phone call for the things I need to bring, I asked how long's the program, and they told me it's a year. And I was like, I can't. I have 2 baby girls at home. I have a family. Like, I can't leave. So after that, I knew I needed to do something, and I went to Kaiser outpatient, and I got sober in Kaiser's program for outpatient, and that's how I got sober. But I like I said before, I only went to stop drinking during the week.
I see.
So you still had a plan.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure that from personal experiences of family members that have had many incidents happen, and they every time their drinking binge was coming, they were just reaching that moment, they're just tired of drinking, they would always say, I'm gonna stop, and it never happened. So what took their life was cirrhosis in the liver.
Exactly.
They passed away from that horrible illness, and to see them be so young, still in their 40s and then in their 50s, it was just really sad because as a child I'm watching all this stuff and I'm thinking, oh my God, like sometimes as children we don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
They're looking, but they don't know. They kind of try to normalize it in their mind, but we know it's not normal. And but everybody has that moment. I think everybody has that moment where you're just like you're tired.
Exactly.
But you can't visualize your life without it.
Exactly.
You know, it's like everything, right? You just can't. It's like food. It's like everything that becomes an addiction. And so I think what you did, I mean, God had a plan for you.
Oh, he did.
Obviously,
He definitely did.
From
He
the very
definitely
beginning.
And I grew up in a Christian home, and where my grandmothers were up in front playing the piano and the organ, and my mom was in kids ministry, and I went to a Christian school my whole life. So the enemy will put scales over your eyes to prevent you from what you were put on earth to do.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what he tried to do with me. But thank you, Jesus. I got set free almost 5 years ago, and my life is totally different.
Wow.
Totally different. So.
Yeah, no, because I even complimented you. I told you, you look beautiful. Like I would never
thank
look
you.
at you and think that, you were an alcoholic for 20 years. I think I shared too that, I've seen people that I'm thinking they're like in their 60s, but really they're only 40 and they lived a tough life.
Yes.
But they use their hang-ups to block it with alcohol or
Exactly.
drugs. But it never goes away.
Exactly.
And I can't tell them because I'm not a therapist. I don't know what to say. But in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm thinking what was so bad that you had to.
That's a really good question.
It's
that question of like what happened to you or
Exactly.
what are you going through? What were you going through in those moments?
Yeah. For me, I don't have trauma. I was never neglected or hurt. I was raised, like I said, by two. My dad's a Vietnam vet. My mom stayed at home. My dad worked 3 jobs to put us all through Christian school. I had to go to therapy to figure out what triggered my drinking, and I got pregnant at 16 and got married and moved to Virginia. My husband joined the Navy, and I moved 3,000 miles away from my family and with my husband at 16 and my baby. And I don't feel that was trauma for me, but as a human being, I feel like there's stages in life that you need to go through in order to get to the next stage of life in a healthy, productive way. And I skipped a few stages, and I feel like that's what got me trapped in alcoholism.
Yeah, but getting pregnant at 16, there's still something that, that happened during that time. I mean, I'm thinking that you probably didn't even realize that had an effect on you because being pregnant at such a young age, it could have different, chemical imbalances and we don't even know.
Exactly.
So it could be different things. I don't know. She's the expert, but
yeah.
What would you say? I mean,
that's just a huge life transition.
Yeah.
To me, like 16 years old, it's a huge life transition to be pregnant and then move and, your husband being in the Navy, being away, working, and, you being at home, learning to do it all on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was definitely a learning experience. I wouldn't change it though, because, it's made me who I am. And my son, who's 28 now, is, I mostly feel like he had to grow with me, like during my struggles.
Yeah.
All 4 of my kids did, and they're all healthy, productive human beings, and I'm just proud of what they had to go through as well, having 2 alcoholic parents. It had to be hard for them as well. So I'm very proud of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's so you mentioned your son having, also had been addicted to what was it again?
Xanax and cocaine.
Yeah. So what do you think that brought that on him? Was it because of like a traumatic situation? Maybe looking at you. Were you?
Oh yeah. For sure. Well, we were his example, and his mom, and you look at your mom and dad for how to go in
Guidance,
life.
yeah.
And his father and I were drinking and to cope with life, and he fell into that. And but thank you, Jesus, he's been sober. Going, it'll be 3 years on the 16th next
that's
week,
wonderful. I
and
love
he's
that.
a drug and alcohol counselor. He's doing his internship
Wow.
at the Salvation Army in San Bernardino. So
Wow.
he's married with 3 kids. So I'm a grandma. So he's life right now for my family and I. We're in a season of blessing. We're reaping what we sowed, good seed, and now we're reaping it, because my life 5 years ago was not like this at all. So when I first got sober, I wanted to be a nurse. I was going to go to school to be a nurse, but God had a conversation with me, and now I want to help other addicts, because it's not, some of us, we want to quit, but we're trapped. And it takes watching someone else that went through it, and you see that there's hope, to help others get out of that.
Yeah, because I hear so many women, that say, "Oh, I'm not an alcoholic," but they drink.
Yeah.
Every opportunity they have,
Yeah.
they're drinking, and they're still young, so they think it's not going to catch up to them, but it does.
Oh, fast.
Yeah, it catches on to you. And I read some stuff on your Instagram, some of your posts, and some of them said, that it causes anxiety, and it causes, suppression of feelings.
Oh, yeah.
And so many things. So you always find an excuse to go drink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're sober, you're so messed up, because your different personalities can come about, anger.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Anger.
Yep.
And once you have a drink, you feel like you're normal. Like, let me
Yeah.
normalize myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
alcohol is very sociably acceptable. So that's in it, and you can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
And society emulates it. And it causes depression. It causes anxiety. It's a depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. So if you're depressed, drinking alcohol, for the moment you feel okay, but afterwards you have to dig yourself out a hole, and it's just it's a dead end road.
So when do people know that it's a problem, in your view?
I'm really big. I got sober with AA, and you can't diagnose someone else. It's up to them. I mean, me as a person, I could see it from a mile away, but if the person if they don't accept the first step, which is admitting you have a problem, there's nothing you can do to help them. They have to come to the realization on their own that they're alcoholics. But me, I can see it, but I can't go around saying you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like,
That's just going to turn a lot of people away,
Yeah,
right? Instead of
yeah.
coming to you for support,
Exactly.
they're just going to hear what everyone has already been telling them.
Exactly. Exactly.
So do you think that that one of your worst moments or experiences, as an alcoholic, do you feel that your son was like where you just said, I can't do this anymore, or what was what's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret is the pain that I caused my kids and my husband. I chose alcohol over my kids, over my husband, over God. And it took a therapist. I was in rehab with Kaiser, and he had us write down 5 things on a piece of paper that we loved the most. And I was so proud of my list. I had my kids, my husband, God, my parents, and he walked by each table and he ripped up our paper, threw it on the ground, and said, "You love and choose alcohol over everybody on that list." And that was the moment that I knew
Wow.
I have to get sober, because no one had ever told me. I didn't see it like that. I didn't think it was affecting anybody. I thought it was just affecting me. I had a doctor tell me I have a fatty liver. I've had my gallbladder removed, and that still wasn't enough. You have, like you said before, you have to have a moment of clarity and a moment with God. Like, I came to a point in my life where I had to have God do for me what I couldn't do for myself, and that was how I came to the end of the road. So
I read a book once, and it was saying that God will strike you of everything. He will rip what we love the most to get you to the very bottom in order for us to like open our eyes to what's really going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows his glory, you know. It look what God can do. You have to just open your heart and let him do it. Surrender is an action word. It's not just you sit there idly. It takes work. And every day, it's an everyday reprieve. I have to wake up and get in the word and do what I got to do to stay sober, because it does take work.
Wow.
What gives you hope?
My kids and my grandkids. I want my kids to have a mother and a father that they can be proud of and look up to, you know, and be like, that's my mom and dad. And for a while they didn't. Like we failed them for a while. But I have to do I have to do a living amends every day and show them that I love them enough to turn my back on my demons, because it was very, very hard.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very hard. I was an everyday drinker. And the hard part is feeling feelings. Like I feel things that I haven't felt in 20 years, and I don't know what to do with those feelings. So I'm like, oh, I was a very hard, angry person before I got sober. And God has turned my heart into flesh. It's soft now. And things that used to enrage me, I just sit back and you just have to feel your feelings. And we're made in the image of God, so we're meant to feel. And it's just a very different feeling.
It's hard.
Feeling. Yeah.
I love how you put that.
Yeah.
Because
feelings are hard.
Yeah.
That is the truth, and that's what we try to suppress. I think when we go through trials, you know, in our lives, and I feel like, you know, that's our escape, because we don't want to feel those, because
Exactly.
they hurt too
It's
much.
uncomfortable. It's you don't know how to process it if you've never really learned how to deal with these feelings. And life
Exactly.
events that, you know, you've never been through either. You know, somebody passes away, and that's the first time you've ever experienced that. How do you handle these feelings?
Exactly. And that's, you got to feel to heal. And that's exactly, it's been quite an experience for the last 5 years, but anybody around me can see that I'm a much better person sober. Like my life is just so much different. So different. I thought I was living out my purpose just being a mom, you know, having a few beers and being a mom, but no, like my life is just
Your purpose
different.
was so much greater than that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, praise God for the opportunity to live a different life, and for you to feel what you're feeling, and for you to feel like it's okay to tell your story, because you never know whose life you're gonna change. But when we get back, we're gonna take a short break. When we get back, we're gonna, you know, talk more about your nonprofit and what your dream is and what your vision is for your nonprofit.
Okay.
So we'll be right back.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Don't forget to check us out at Instagram at Fierce Pro Shop for more information about our brand.
So welcome back, everybody. We're back with Krystal. We've been having a great conversation, you know, about recovery and what it looks like, and just sharing that there's always hope. You know, there's always hope, but you have to be ready to receive and be ready to just break down before the healing can start.
That's right.
And I think the way you've been sharing it with us, it could be, you know, thousands of people that are suffering from, you know, what you've been through, and they still don't know how to change it.
Exactly.
You know, but you bring, you know, you now, you know, started this nonprofit, you know, and so I want to know, I know you shared a little bit about your vision, and, you know, but I want to know about, you know, the mission and the vision that you have for what you're trying to do now.
Yes. The mission is to provide a Christ-centered, healthy environment that people can come to that have already been through detox and have already been through rehab and need a place to heal and to grow relationships, to grow a relationship with Christ, and just to heal from the wreckage that they're disease caused.
And you also mentioned to me over the phone that you want to provide jobs for them.
Yes.
Like open up doors of, in your, because I think you said you wanted like a ranch.
Yes.
Where you could have animals. Because I know animals are beautiful and they offer a lot of healing for
Equine
different
therapy.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, what is it called?
Equine therapy.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And so I didn't know that. But no, but that's awesome. I've seen a lot of that, even, not just for recovery, but also for different things and different,
Yes.
for different kids, even blind, kids that are blind. And so I know this is still a dream of yours, and right now you're going through some fundraising and you're
Yes.
doing, but you already started, you got the ball rolling, in other
Yes.
words.
Yes.
And so would you be offering also like therapy?
Yes. Therapy, job training. I want to get acclimated with the community so I can have relationships with small businesses. So I can say, here's Becky, and she's really good at typing, and they can train her up and help her become successful in what she wants to do. So mind, body, and soul. Everything needs to be healed, and we want to give them an opportunity without the financial burden to heal. Because when I got sober, I was blessed to have my home was drug free. I had to heal, and I had the environment to do so. But there's a lot of people that get out of rehab and don't have an environment to go back to that's healthy.
Yeah.
And we want to provide that for the individual to go back to a healthy environment to continue the recovery. It's a difference to be sober than be in recovery. Just taking away the drug and the alcohol is one thing, but it's a heart condition. If you don't heal your heart and you get to the bottom of things, the drug and the alcohol is a symptom of what is really going on inside. And unless you take the steps to heal and to become a better person, you're going to go right back to a different addiction if you don't watch your steps.
So what do you feel that the percentage is out there from people that have gone through rehabilitation in a regular, facility, and then they come out? What are the chances of them staying sober moving forward?
The chances of them staying sober with community, God, and with sober living is a much greater chance. I think after a year, I don't know the exact numbers, but with the right balance, the possibility of staying sober is greater.
They just need that environment, that chance, that fighting
Exactly.
chance to
Yes.
make it happen. Because I know relapse is a part of recovery, and it's accepted, and we understand that. But I think if they're put in we have those environment that we can help them, like
Exactly.
the chances for them to be successful will be much higher.
Yeah, and relapse doesn't have to be part of your story. I know that it's easier to stay sober than to get sober, and it does not have to be. I know that with other people, they've relapsed prayerfully, thank God. So far, that's not part of mine, and I don't ever want it to be part of mine. And in Jesus' name, it will never be part of mine. But I've seen people relapse and pass away in their relapse, and that's what's the sad part. So you have to watch people like that, because you don't want to be that person. Because when we relapse, we go harder into our addiction,
Yeah.
and it's harder to get out.
It sounds like with your organization, though, you've really thought it through as far as like the job training and the therapy and working on, like you said, like heart, mind, and soul and body and all of that. So, I mean, I think that's huge. I've never heard of anything like this.
Oh, yeah. It's very good. You need to find different outlets, healthy outlets.
Yeah.
My husband and I, we go to the gym. That we have to get that energy out. Church, we need God. That's first and foremost. And everything is balance. You have to have the right balance. I run a ministry out of my church, Mountain View Community Church in Rancho Cucamonga, and it's called Freedom. And it's a recovery program where we have fellowship, and we just want to love people back to life. So it takes a good, support system to keep on the road to recovery.
So I'm thinking that there's probably already something like, like what you're trying to do. So did this come from something that you, from another place that maybe you saw that you really like their concept, and now you want to bring it back to, to your church? Maybe they don't have church, but it exists.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there is, for some reason.
The Freedom Program, AA helped save my life. It gave me the tools that I need to be and stay sober. And when you're in church and when you're a Christian, it's hard for people to admit that they have a problem, and they don't want to be judged. And I want to take that stigma off. We're in church because we're all sick and we're all broken and we need Jesus Christ. So it's a meeting that you can be suffering from codependency, overeating, shopping, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, anything that is a stronghold or an addiction in your life. We come, we hang out, we have topics, we talk, and it's like group therapy. That's what I love about it, and it's a good meeting.
It's a good combination of things, yeah. So tell me about the 4 C's of addiction, because I saw that and I don't know what it is. So maybe you can explain that.
I don't know that by heart, but it is. Do you have it written down?
I don't. I just wrote that down.
Yeah, I do not know that by heart, but it is on my Instagram, so you'll have to go visit it.
Okay.
The
And then I
Thomas
saw
Recovery
some.
Center.
I also saw. Read some data. You said that there's 22 million people suffering from active substance abuse, and then there is 45 million people that are directly impacted by addiction. So tell us about that.
That's a lot of people, right? We all know someone that's either in active addiction or you're struggling yourself, and it's all a heart condition, and it's all there is a solution to addiction, and that's what I want to get out there, that you don't have to be suffering like that, because you're dying inside when you're addicted, and it doesn't happen overnight. The addiction does not happen overnight. It is a process, and especially with alcohol, it gets worse as time goes by. But if you look at it, that's pretty much we all know someone who's suffering, and I just want them to know there's hope and there is a solution.
So the 45 million, are they like family members, moms and dads?
Oh, yeah.
Because I figure they would suffer along the way when we see, a family member that's addicted to something. You just want to help them, or you want to just you want them to get it, but it's almost like they don't, like it makes it worse.
Oh yeah, it's a family disease. Everybody suffers. And I just recently started going to Al-Anon. Nice. And it's very helpful. It teaches you how to love the addict and have healthy boundaries. So that's something that I've added to my toolbox of tools to help me with the recovery process, and it's huge. It's something I needed and didn't know I needed.
I'm wondering, like, what advice would you give to somebody who's a family member of somebody struggling?
I would definitely go to Al-Anon, because I'm telling you, it helps you learn boundaries and not to be so caught up in their addiction, and go straight to the cross, the foot of the cross, and God is the answer to that. And I would definitely recommend just continue loving that person, and that person has to get to a point themselves. Anything you say, anything you do, it's never enough for the addict, and they have to get to the point themselves.
Well, what if they recognize, they still, you hear a lot about, young people or even older folks that have these car accidents and they kill innocent people, but they don't die. But the victims, they end up suffering for the rest of their life, or sometimes they pass away. I mean, what if even that moment is not that moment? Like some people, I feel like they never come to that
It's just not their moment
It's
then.
just
Yeah.
So, oh my God, but doing something like that, I mean, you're leaving a mother and a whole family, I mean, suffering for the rest of their life. It's like it almost like your hang up, just transferred to them because they
Exactly.
lost their family member, and you go back and you get to drink again, or maybe you
Yeah.
go to
But
jail and you come out.
I think that just tells us how strong of a disease this is.
Exactly.
That just shows us like how strong and how real it really is.
Wow, that's scary.
It happens to a lot of people, believe it or
Yeah.
not. And
Yeah.
thank you, God, that's not part of my story. And I'm able to come out of it and give other people hope. So,
I'm
Yeah.
wondering what my last question.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
wondering what would you tell yourself if you could see yourself maybe 5 years ago? What would you tell yourself?
Oh man, that's a good question. That it's gonna be okay, and that I am gonna get out of it. If I used to journal a lot, and when I look at those journals, I'm constantly asking God to help me stop drinking. And I thought that it was gonna be like a miracle. I was gonna wake up one day and not have the craving. It took 2.5 years for me to stop obsessing about alcohol after I quit. I would obsess about alcohol from the minute I woke up, from the minute I went to sleep. So it is definitely a process, but without God, like I couldn't have done it. It was the darkest time of my life when I first got sober. I would have to wait when I would wake up from a nightmare from drinking, and I didn't know if it was real or not. And I'd wake up crying, asking my husband, did I drink? And he's like, no, you're fine. It's just a dream. But your brain is coming out of such a toxic fog that it can't comprehend or decipher what reality and what isn't.
Yeah, because it has to detoxify as well as your body.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that must have been really scary for you. But, now what do you tell yourself? I mean, I'm sure you tell yourself that you're proud of the woman that you're becoming,
Yes.
right? And the mother that you're becoming, and you're showing your kids and the people around you that love you to death, that, look at, if I could do it, there's hope.
Exactly. I know that when people are like, oh, I'm so proud of you, like my mind naturally goes to proud of me for not drinking. Like that's so easy. Like you're proud of me for doing something that a normal person doesn't do. Like, but I try not to focus on my past. And I focus on the future, and I would just tell myself, like we're doing it. I just want to be a good example for my daughters.
Of course.
That's the main thing for me.
So, if you can reintroduce yourself, who are you today?
Oh, I am a woman of God, and I am just humbled that God has given me the opportunity to speak out the way I am, and the opportunities that have been being here. Like that's a huge opportunity, and I would never have guessed it for me. I dropped out my sophomore year, so I never felt educated. I never felt comfortable around other adults. I always felt like I was not smart, and it's like God has everything that I have felt about myself. God has far exceeded, and like I'm taking my master's for biblical theology now,
wonderful.
and I never would have thought that I could do that. But you'd be surprised what you can do when you're not being hindered by the enemy. So
Yeah, well, when I say, I'm proud of you, is because I've seen so much devastation within my own family about addiction, and but there's so many years that wasted, and on what? And it only took one moment for that person to want to change, but you've lost so much in the middle of that. So even for them being sober and moving on and trying to restore those relationships with either, it was my brother with his kids and his sons that are already, adults. And it's like, how do you do that? And could that cause you, the rejection from them cause you to go back? It's always something that I think about. And I don't know, I just told my dad to tell him that, just apologize.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Like,
Yeah.
just apologize. And an apology can go a long way. You don't have to explain. Just apologize and love them and don't give up.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's good. For me, I'm going to have triggers. And whether that's an apology I never got, I can't I can't blame other people for my addiction. It was my decision, whether it was out of hurt or whatever. I chose to do that. And we can, we'll have excuses. We're addicts. I can have excuses every day, all day of why I drank. But when it comes down to it, it was us who chose that. There's a lot of people that go through things that don't turn to drugs and alcohol and they heal. But some of us, we chose to turn to drugs and alcohol. And I was fortunate where everybody in my life forgave me, and I made amends to all the people that I hurt during my addiction. And I was fortunate enough where they all forgave me. So
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what does the future look like with your center and, you being part of it? I think that's going to be part of your healing as well, right? Because every day you're healing, every day you're growing, every day you're blessed. And so now with your dream that you have, like, I know you talked about a fundraiser that your first fundraiser that you're hosting.
Yes.
What is that? How is that going? And
very good. We're having a fundraising banquet September 30th at 6 o'clock at Mountain View Church on the corner of Haven and Foothill in Rancho Cucamonga.
Mark your calendars.
Yes, please.
you're my neighbor, so it's just right up the street from me.
Yes, you can visit the website, thepottersrecoverycenter.com, and buy your tickets. And we're going to have dinner and dessert and a silent auction. There's going to be a 1997 Harley Davidson up for auction. So if you're a motorcycle lover, come out. And we're going to have live music and great speakers. Anthony Brown, you spoke of, you serve homeless people. He was homeless in the Orange County, and he was a drug addict, and now he's a nurse, and he has his own nonprofit, Anthony Manor, I believe. He's going to be a speaker. Nice. Pastor Phil Chief from Set Free Ministries is going to come speak, and they're all great men of God, and I'm very excited for the night. It's going to be
Where
great.
can we get our tickets?
Yeah. Visit our website.
Okay, got it.
thepottersrecoverycenter.com.
So on Instagram is the link to buy tickets on there as well?
Yes.
Okay, so because I checked out your Instagram, I kind of dissected it a little bit.
Yes.
And I saw you're really good. I mean, I love because you have so many inspirational things on there. And so we still haven't found a church. My husband and I, we're fairly new out there in that area. So we've been looking for a church. So we might come visit you.
You'll love it. Yes,
we
please
might
come visit. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I just really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you being here. I mean, you definitely, you're spreading hope, and I think that's the main thing. There's always hope for everything in every situation that that we're in. There's always hope, and there's awesome people spreading the word of God and just giving God praise for what He's done in your life.
Right.
I give God praise for what He's done in my life, and and my kids. As you can see, my daughter is in her job, I pray for her every day, even if she doesn't know.
That's right, we do.
Yeah, because she deals with a lot of different situations, and and her being a girl, to me, she's still a little girl.
Oh yeah, no,
I still think I'm a little girl.
Yeah, right. So do I. I'm old. Okay.
No, you're not old. But again, I thank you. We're gonna share her Instagram so that you guys, if you're compelled to to help or just make a donation, please do so. This is gonna change so many people's lives, and at the end of the day, that's the reward.
That's right.
That's the probably the biggest reward we can have is hope.
That's right.
Right. So,
That's
any
right.
final words?
I just want to thank you for having me, and
It's a pleasure.
This was a great opportunity, and I really appreciate it, and I just want to give God all the glory.
Well, I'm going to follow your page. I'm going to follow your journey.
Thank you.
And if there's any way that we can contribute to your efforts to open your center, I'm going to be the first one to be like your cheerleader and be out there and be like, oh my gosh, she made this a reality. This is so awesome. So
thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to stay in touch, and I want to bring you back, and for you to share the success stories that
Yes, I would love to
you've
come back.
had. And so I really want to thank, Caesar, if you're watching this.
Yes,
Thank you so much for the introduction. This is
Yay.
wonderful.
Thank
So,
you.
you never know. We might be referring people to you. And so you just never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that it's so powerful, your story. It's
Oh, thank you.
amazing to hear, and the fact that you're living out your purpose, and you can tell this is exactly where you're supposed to be and exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So
you.
it's beautiful to see.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
So thank you again for being with us. So again, if you want to follow her page, is the Potters Recovery Center.
Yep.
Just like that on Instagram, and follow her. And if you want to support, thank you so much. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. And with that, we're going to say goodnight. So don't forget to watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify video, every Tuesday at 9 a.m. And I want to thank all my followers for your continued support. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
and have a good night.
you.